Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio College Basketball Closing Time Show. It is Wednesday, January 6th, the midweek edition of the show. Connor, Mackey, and Cameron with you, ready to break down this college basketball slate. A few more games definitely on tap today than we had yesterday, so looking forward to it. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Yeah, I mean, too bad for Team Canada, Jansen, right? Yeah, U.S. deserved it. There's no beef. There's no sour grapes or nothing that, hey, we got robbed in that game or we got jobbed. No, we deserve to lose that game, Canada. The U.S. was the better team in that World Junior Hockey Championship gold medal game last night. So I give them all the credit for getting the job done. Let's hopefully get the job done, Conor and I, with our picks today in college basketball. Let's start with St. Joe's and St. Bonaventure. We've got the Bonnies laying a big number here, 13 at home. 149 the total. Total's been bet down. Of course, Ryan Daly out for St. Joe's. It's always been basically a daily check on whether he's going to play for the St. Joseph's Hawks on a daily basis. He's obviously their leading scorer, key contributor, offense, all of that. It's important to have him on the floor. He will not be there. Ryan Daly today, still out with that thumb injury after missing the last two games. So that's probably why you've seen some money come in on Bonaventure. Certainly the better team. Can they lay 13 and cover? That's the question. Sometimes in the A10, it's difficult to lay double digits. We saw obviously a shocker last night with Fordham outright upset win against Dayton. Not many people would have projected that to happen, but it did. So, look, I don't want St. Joe's here. I understand they're struggling without Daly. It's going to be tough. I don't know if I want to lay this many, though. My lean would be to Bonnie, but minus 13 is no bargains, let's put it that way. Lean over the total as well. I'm going to wait on this total, and it's going down a bit. St. Joe's really plays fast. I know they're going to miss Daly, but their defense stinks, and St. Bonaventure could put a big number up there. And now with the total in the 140s, it's kind of low for the way St. Joe's plays basketball. So I do kind of like over the total now at a deflated number in the 149 range. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, the total with St. Joe's, is like you said, top scorer out. I don't really love it, but dropping down, I see 149s maybe. I like St. Bonaventure here, but it's out of my range. It's 13 and a half. I'd lean with them, but I don't want to bet it there. I like it if it was 10 or 11. 13 and a half's a little high. I think they get the cover. I just don't want a backdoor cover here early on the day, but the Bonnies are a team that I like. You like them as well. So they'd be my lean. Roll with the Bonnies here, St. Bonaventure.
All right, now these two games that we're starting the card with, they're tipping off next hour, 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you're aware to get your bets in if you want to get in on these games, including this one, Tulsa, South Florida. Pick them pretty much either side, 127 the total in this one. Tulsa just continues to impress. They've been an unbelievable surprise to me with how well they've played, to the point now where you got to mention them as an upper tier team in the AAC. I think it's pretty safe to say. The only question is the spot here for Tulsa. It smells like they're due for a bad game or a clunker, and I kind of like this South Florida team, and I backed them a couple of times. I'm not going against Tulsa here with the way they're playing, but I'm not sure this is the best spot in the world here for the Golden Hurricane going on the road against this South Florida team. Slight lean to the USF Bulls here in this one, but it's going to be a pass. What's your thoughts, Connor, on this game?
Yeah, I passed too. Two good teams. Tulsa, like you said, maybe Tulsa's due for one. And I've been shocked how great South Florida has played and have took them lately. I just don't pick them here. I lean with South Florida. I mean, good 7-point win against USF. They lost by 1 at Memphis. Lost by 5 to Wichita State. I lean with them, and I lean even the under 127. I think this one could be slow. Just when totals get down here, you really got to take an unders here. You could just get over quickly, like a 65, 62. But I lean under here. I think it's a rock fight, and lean South Florida a little bit.
Yeah, both teams would want it to be a rock fight too. And Bart Torvik, and a good projections type of site, he predicts 124 in terms of the total points in this game. So that's still under the 127 we're seeing now. So there still could be a little value to go under the total. Pitt, Syracuse now, ACC play, 4:30 at the Carrier Dome, Eastern time, 1:30 Pacific. Syracuse, 11-point home favorites here, 140 the total in this one. Syracuse, a team that obviously had some COVID issues and concerns to battle through early in the season. No question about that. but a team that when they're fully locked in, that zone defense, when they're playing that at a high level, and they've got it locked in, that is a team that can do some really good things. They're 6-1. They beat Buffalo in overtime. It is a little concerning, Connor, that they haven't played in like almost 3 weeks since that overtime win against Buffalo. So you worry about whether they're going to be sharp here. But I've got some major concerns here with Pitt coming into this game. They lost by 10 at home to Louisville in their last game. This is not a very good three-point shooting team, 224 in the country and three-point field goal percentage. And you got to shoot the three if you're going to beat the zone. And they have a key cog out as well. Justin, drink a little champagne for the Pitt Panthers. Key injury for them, knee injury. And since he's gone down, it hasn't looked the same on offense, this Panthers team. Work hard, play solid enough defense. Jeff Capel, solid coach. But if you can't shoot the three and you're without arguably your best scorer, I don't know if I want to trust Pitt here on the road. But at the same time, Syracuse hasn't played in a while, laying 11. Pretty easy game for me to stay clear of. So pass for me. What's your thoughts, Connor? Pitt and Syracuse.
Yeah, this isn't one I want to lay 11 with Syracuse. I mean, I get some people like the spot. Like you said, they haven't played in a while. They could shoot it in if they get hot. Pitt's scrappy, but like you said, with their best player out, Champagne, and they've been dealing with injuries so themselves. I like that they're a little bit scrappy. I think they could cover this 11. I just didn't love it enough, but I'd lean Pittsburgh here with the 11 points.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot for Syracuse to be laying, considering, again, they haven't played a game in almost 3 weeks. Moving on down the card, UMass, George Washington, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. UMass laying 4 on the road here, 152.5, 153 the total in this game. I kind of lean George GW here in this game from a side perspective. I know it's been kind of an up and down start to the season for this George Washington Colonials team. Jamion Christian, though, I think is a coach I like overall. Mount St. Mary's, briefly at Siena, now coaching this George Washington team. And we've seen this team after a really rough go. Remember, they had a 1-7 start to the season, and their only win was against Coppin State, but they've notched back-to-back conference victories. Okay, beating Fordham by 24 is nothing to write home about, even after Fordham won last night against Dayton. But beating Duquesne in their last game at home, 75-73. So you're starting to see George Washington, the needle pointing up a little bit on this team. And UMass doesn't play enough defense for me to trust them as road favorites. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
UMass is just not a very good defensive team. They go up and down the court, frenetic pace, and just not good defensively. And you've seen it the last 2 games, both of them losses. 88 allowed to Bryant, 93 allowed in a double overtime defeat to George Mason last week. Terrible defensive basketball team. So I have a small bet on George Washington. My stronger opinion is the over in this game. I think we get a lot of points. UMass 152. That's a low number for them. Their games are getting into the 160s, hell, even into the 170s for the most part, the last couple that they've played. And George Washington's one of those teams that if they play a team that plays fast, they'll go along with that pace. So I like the over here, 152. I think it's a higher scoring affair. What's your thoughts, Connor?
I'm with you. They were already at that pace too. George Washington, kind of like you said, out UMass. Their games have been a little bit slower since the transfer they've had, and the in-conference games, like the last few with Fordham and Duquesne. But I'm with you here. I think this over is good here at 152 or 153. And I'm with you. I don't want to lay points with UMass on the road, not with that defense. So I like George Washington as well, plus 4.5. I see that it's already getting down to 4. I just can't lay it with UMass. No way right here. And not that I love George Washington, but I think they're playing better basketball, as you alluded to. So I like George Washington with the points, and I like this over.
All right, we got a good one next here in the A10, Rhode Island and Richmond. Richmond 4.5 home favorites here, 144.5 the total. Good bounce back spot for Richmond. I expect their A game tonight. They lost to St. Bonaventure at home on Saturday, 69-66. In fact, I believe the one and only Connor Mack liked St. Bonaventure in that game, getting the points against Richmond on Saturday. They ended up winning outright. I think now's the spot to come back, bet on the Spiders at home. They don't want to lose 2 home games in a row. And I like Rhode Island, don't get me wrong. But Rhode Island's a little bit more of a up and down sort of basketball team. They have won 2 in a row against St. Bonnie and St. Joseph's. But when I look at this Rhode Island team, taking a step up in class here a little bit against a Richmond team that you look after their last 2 losses, They lost to West Virginia by 16. What did they do their next game? They bounced back, beat Vanderbilt by double digits on the road. They lost to Hofstra at home. What did they do the next game? They went on the road, beat a damn good Davidson team, 80-74. Chris Mooney's team has shown you the ability to bounce back after a loss and a bad game. I expect Nathan Kao, Grant Golden, Jacob Gilliard, Blake Francis and company step up, have a good game, get the win. And I think they can get enough of a margin to cover this short home favorite price. So I like Richmond here minus the 4. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, I'm with you a little. I'm staying off this one. I think this is a good bounce back spot for Richmond. I think they're the better basketball team. And this would be a good spot. One thing is their defense is kind of soft. They're not very good. They give up a ton of points and a ton of points inside. They're one of the lower teams on inside the paint there, giving up baskets. My only worry is that's why I stayed off this game, is I think Fats Russell can do what he wants. I think they get points. Should be a good one. I just stayed off it at 4.5, 5. I just didn't trust it enough. Rhode Island's one of those weird teams, very streaky, erratic. I like them in certain spots, and they've played well in certain spots. I don't know about here on the road, so that's why I'm staying off this one.
This is a really good one now. Virginia Tech, Louisville in the ACC. Next up, we've got Louisville 4-point home favorites, 131.5 the total in this game. Louisville looks like they're putting it together, and we know they kind of had a rough start to the season, a little bit with injuries, and they had some COVID issues, and they had a couple key cogs out at the beginning of the season. But Chris Mack's team is getting it going. They're 7-1. They've now started ACC play 3-0, beat Pitt by 10. Beat actually 2-0 in ACC play, beat Kentucky 62-59, beat Boston College 76-64. I was on Louisville against Boston College on Saturday, laying 5 on the road. They pretty much led wire to wire, got the job done. But Virginia Tech, to me, 8-1, 2-0 in conference play. Mike Young's got a team. I would not be looking to bet against Virginia Tech very often. They've got the signs of being a bet-on team right now. I like what I'm seeing from this team so far this season. Their only loss was a game against Penn State where, hey, they just had a bad shooting night. They only had 55 points, and that's been rare for them. They're usually a better shooting team than that. We've seen them score 80, 84, 97. What I like about Mike Young is his Wofford teams always move the ball crisply. The offense was very, very sleek, sophisticated, ball movement, player movement, share the basketball, get a good look. Don't shoot the ball until you get a good look. That's the kind of discipline on offense I like, especially when you're playing a good team like Louisville, plays pretty good defense. So this is a damn good game. I mean, Louisville's on a roll. I'm not sure I want to buck them, but I like Virginia Tech enough and this coach enough not to bet against them here either. So this is just a sit back, watch, and enjoy game for me, and I'm going to pass on it. What about you, Connor? Virginia Tech and Louisville?
Yeah, this is going to be a really good one. I think Louisville could be one of the better teams, and I was pretty high on Va Tech, but I really like what they've done all year. I mean, good wins. Look at a 8-point win over Villanova. They beat up on South Florida, we just talked about. Their only bad loss was Penn State, but beat Clemson by 6, 66-60. And then they clawed on that Miami win, 80-78. I think this is a good one as well. I lean a little bit when take the points. I wish it was 6 or 7. I still like it a little bit at 5 with Va Tech. I'd lean that way a little bit. I might take them +5 as well. And I think this one gets over 131. I think that's a little bit low. I think this could sneak over that total as well.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is pretty efficient for Virginia Tech and for Louisville, to be honest, but they're also very good defensively. So, but again, you could get a close game. You get fouling late and also help you get up over a modest total like that. Question in the chats, Virginia Tech concerned about this being their first road game? Not really. Remember, they beat Villanova on a neutral floor, a really impressive win for this Virginia Tech team early in the season. They beat South Florida on a neutral floor. So they've had good games against teams away from home, just not on a true road court, but on a neutral court, and they've shown up very well in them. And remember, no fans, so or at least limited fans. I'm not sure what Louisville's doing, but definitely, I don't think it's going to be that huge of a deal, especially because they have been battle tested. Virginia Tech did face some pretty good teams earlier in their non-conference slate. Samford and Chattanooga, we got the Mocs. laying 5.5 here at home, 156 the total. This has shootout written all over it. This total's gone up. I agree. Chattanooga plays fast. Samford does. Both of these teams are, I think, better at the offensive end of the court than they are defensively. Chattanooga's not a very deep basketball team, though, and they got a couple of injuries. I believe they're going to play these players that are questionable, but they don't have a lot of depth, and I like the way Samford's playing. I took the points with Samford as well in this game. 7 down to 5.5. I got 6 on it. It's 5.5 now. I still like Samford with the points, and I like the game to go over the total as well. Connor, anything for you here?
Yeah, I like a small play on Samford as well. They're scrappy. I think they can hang around here. And at a +6, I know it's dropped to 5.5, like you said. But if you can get a 6, there's still 6s I see. I like him as well. Chattanooga's kind of been disappointing this year. And I don't think they should be laying this big a number. Yeah, I like a small play on Samford here, +6.
One of those classic teams. I want to take points, not lay points with them. That's Chattanooga. Exactly. I took them plus points against Furman recently, the Paladins, and they covered against Furman. A really good Furman team, obviously. Yeah. So, but again, they've been good in the dog roll at times, but now they're laying moderate points. They're a little bit banged up. I think that could be a little bit of trouble for them tonight against this Samford squad. VCU and George Mason, we head on back to the A10 here with this one. VCU 5.5, 6-point road favorites, 138.5 the total in this game. Really not much on this game. Either way, side total, I think the number's in a pretty good spot. VCU's the better of these two teams. George Mason on their best day can hang and compete with a lot of teams in the A10, but too many times we see their worst day as well, and that could be trouble here. Turnovers could be an issue as well. VCU likes to feast off that a little bit. So to me, a lot of volatility with George Mason's performance levels game to game. So for me, I just stayed completely off this one. This is one of those games where I can't even offer you a lean. It was just a game that I'm like, you know what? Too much volatility, passing on it. How about you, Connor? VCU, George Mason.
Yeah, I stayed off this one as well. VCU's better, but I don't want to lay 6 in this spot, wherever that it is now. George Mason's played better. They played better, but not in this spot. They're just too erratic, not enough consistency. So I stayed off. Pass on that one.
All right, next up, Georgetown, Butler. We've got Butler in the Big East laying 4.5 at Hinkle. 130. I'm seeing 138, 138.5, and then I'm seeing bookmaker like 142. Why the hell is there not? That's got to be wrong on my odds screen. There can't be a 4-point difference when all the books are 138 to 139, and I see bookmaker 142. That can't be right, but I believe it's in the high 130s, this total, Georgetown and Butler.
138?
Yeah, 138, 138. Yeah. I'm on Georgetown here plus the points. I mean, Butler fade city for me. It continues to be issues for them. I know they had a better game last time out, but they're still extremely bad. If anything, the injuries are mounting, for this Butler team and for Laval Jordan, the head coach. I mean, we know Aaron Thompson was the big one before, but now it's Mike Parker out. It's Jacoby Cole's out with a meniscus tear. It is just, they're falling one by one here on this Butler team. Georgetown can be flighty, I get it, but with Patrick Ewing's squad, they're at least a group that I would rather take points with than lay points. They've been a good road dog. You can actually go back and look at Ewing since he's taken over here at Georgetown a few years ago. The road underdog role, they've been pretty solid in that particular point spread role. I think they've got the chance to cover this number, maybe even threaten to win outright. Like I said, it's been a tough start to the Big East season for them. They lost to Nova. They only win was St. John's at home in overtime. But you look at some of their road games against Seton Hall, they lost by doubles. But the last game out against Marquette, lost by 4. Led that game for a good part of it and ended up falling just short, 64-60. So they've been competitive. Georgetown's just way too banged up right now for me. I'm on Georgetown here plus the points. Let's go Hoyas. For as erratic as they can be, I think they can find a way tonight. What's your thoughts, Connor? Georgetown and Butler.
I'm with you. I just have a lean with Georgetown because how you were just talking about, they're just not consistent. They just can't play a 40-minute game. These leads they're blowing late. I mean, there are these teams, as we saw last night, just unreal halves. Like they could play a great half of basketball and look like a totally different team the other 20 minutes. Like the second half or first half, doesn't really matter, but especially late in second halves. So I pass, but I lean with Georgetown because right now with all the injuries and Butler just having a hard time scoring, I don't want to lay 4.5 with them. So I lean with Georgetown in this one as well.
All right, the Tennessee Volunteers, after their first loss of the season against Alabama on Saturday, looking to bounce back tonight. They host Arkansas. They're laying 8.5 in Knoxville, 144 the total. The total's gone up, and I agree. I think we get points in this game. I think Tennessee off a loss. Usually they're going to slow it down, play good defense, and they're still a very good offensive team. But I think tonight you're going to see them wanting to make a statement, open it up a little bit. Arkansas, to me, going on the road could be a tricky spot for them because you think you were going to get Tennessee's best effort following the loss against Alabama on Saturday. I like Arkansas enough and Musselman enough that I'm not, especially in this kind of role, getting this number of points where I'm not going to pull the trigger with a bet on Tennessee, but I could understand people being interested in laying the points here. It is a solid bounce back spot. It's not like Arkansas played very good on Saturday, losing at home to Missouri. Tough ask now to go on the road here against this Tennessee team, and what should be a Tennessee team that's in a pretty foul mood after the way it went for them against Alabama. But I do think we'll see points. I think Arkansas's defense, last year at least under Musselman, their defense definitely dropped when they got away from Bud Walton Arena. When they went on the road, they didn't play as good on that at that end of the floor, and it was a noticeable drop. So that's what makes me think that Tennessee's going to maybe put up high 70s, 80s in this game. We get 60s at least from Arkansas, because I still think Arkansas, with the pace they play at, they go up and down the court, they can get some points too. So I like the over, lean Tennessee. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, I like the spot here with Tennessee. At 9, it's getting there. I took them at 8.5. I think they can win here by 10. With Arkansas, as we saw, they hadn't played anybody, and it showed up, as they lost last game. And the big key is with Smith out. I think that really hurts them. I think you're right, though, on the over. I didn't really look at it, but I think they'll be able to score. They still have – that's why I just like the spot here with Tennessee. I think they get a double-digit win here at home. But Arkansas has some good shooters, and they could push this over the total, as you were saying, 80 to 60, kind of like that Alabama-Florida game last night that got over the total. That's what I see similar. Yeah, we were both on the over on that one. And, yeah, so I could see that here as well. So I lean the over here, and I like Tennessee to bounce back at 8.5. I'd watch it at 9. I see some 9s, but at 8.5, I'm with Tennessee.
Yeah, a really good rim protector, too, is Just Smith. And without him on the floor for Arkansas, that's going to be an inside offensive, I think, feasting that Tennessee could have tonight. They'll get a lot of easy points, I think, around the bucket tonight against Arkansas, because we saw Missouri pound the paint against Arkansas on Saturday, and it worked out pretty well for them. So that's another reason why I like the over. I don't like the overs with Tennessee as much when they have to rely a lot more on the perimeter shooting. But when they can get those easy looks inside, which I think they could tonight, then they're going to be a more efficient team at the offensive end of the court. So I'm definitely looking toward the over here as well. Georgia, LSU. We've got LSU 9-point home favorites, 160 to 161. This total real high now. I get it. LSU is all offense and not great defense. That's always the way it's been for the most part under Will Wade. They just haven't been consistent at that end of the floor. Georgia, to me, I'd be scared to lay points with LSU. I kind of want to look Georgia here. I mean, for as much as I've just absolutely railed on Georgia, this is a lot to be laying for LSU. And LSU in this price range is not necessarily a team I fully trust. I mean, you look at what they're doing at the defensive end of the court, LSU, it hasn't been anything special. They gave up 83 in a loss to Florida. We just saw Florida shut down by Bama pretty much, and they gave up 83 to Florida on Saturday. They gave up 80 to Nicholls State. Recently. They did have a good defensive game against A&M, but that was pretty much it on their recent schedule. On the other side, you got Georgia, 83-73 loss at home against Mississippi State. I said going into that Mississippi State game, because I like the Bulldogs against Georgia in that game. Georgia hasn't played anybody yet. Watch them now. They play Mississippi State. That's a fraudulent undefeated team, and they proved it. Still 7-1 on the season. However, they are now 0-1 in conference play after that loss to Mississippi State. And again, they were favored against Mississippi State. Now they're getting a boatload of points against a suspect defense. Completely different role. I'm not the biggest Tom Crean guy. I'm not the biggest Georgia fan of this particular year's team. I think Anthony Edwards now being in the NBA, this team's backcourt really takes a hit without him. But I think in this spot, with this amount of points they're getting, I'm going to take my chance with Georgia. And I probably won't bet on them for a while after tonight if they don't get it done here. At least get inside the number against LSU. And I lean over, but it's kind of getting high now in the 160s. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, at 160. I'd maybe look under. I don't know. That's getting really up there. Yeah, I don't love Georgia a lot, but at 9, this is one of my last ones that I'm really fighting with. This is their first true road game, but I just don't see LSU. I think they could blow them out, but their defense isn't very good. That's why I think Georgia could cover this basketball game. That's the only reason why I've gone back and forth and really looked into this. But yeah, no official play. I lean Georgia. I don't know if it can make my card. I could see LSU blowing them out. But Georgia's played pretty well. All home games, like we said, are neutral court. They haven't gone on the road. That 10-point loss. But before that, they beat Cincy pretty good. Samford, Montana, not great teams, but winning games. Yeah, I'd lean Georgia with the 9 points. That's about it.
All right, we got a good one here coming up in the SoCon. Wofford hosting NC Greensboro. We got the Terriers, pick 'em -1 over the Spartans, 140, the total in this game. Greensboro has been Greensboro coming off a loss at home to East Tennessee State, 71-61. Before that, Norfolk State was probably their next best win. They did beat Little Rock, actually, in their first game. Little Rock's a pretty good team out of the Sun Belt, but they've also had some mystifying, head-scratching losses. Coppin State, I don't know how you lose to Coppin State, but Greensboro managed to do that. Wofford, on the other hand, I didn't know what to – I thought Wofford would be down a little bit this year, and I think they've shown that at times. But you compare the resumes of the two teams. I mean, you had played Richmond, you played South Florida, you played A&M. Mercer's a good team. Samford in their last game, and they beat Mercer. They beat Samford, good teams in this conference. They faced A&M. They faced Richmond. They've really cut their teeth on a decent schedule, Wofford. And I don't know if I trust Greensboro. I mean, here on the road now against Wofford, and with where the number is now, after Wofford opened a home favorite, and now it's Pick'em and even Greensboro laying a point on the road now in this game. I don't know if I agree with that. I would definitely look now at Wofford at the better number. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Me too. Just shocked. Wofford can just shoot it. I'm just worried they have a bad scoring night. And Greensboro's been disappointing this year. They have the length here in this game. But, man, the Samford win by 10, Mercer by 13. South Florida, they lost by 2, and the Richmond by 5. Wofford's been really surprising. I'm with you here. At a pick 'em, I'm with Wofford. I like them a bit here. I think they can get the home win here.
Wofford is a great three-point shooting team, and Greensboro doesn't shut down the perimeter. I think that's going to be the difference here in this game. You got a good perimeter O in Wofford and a rough perimeter defense with Greensboro, 220 in terms of perimeter defense. Wofford, three-point percentage, 39th in the country, shooting the three. So I think that could be the difference here. Wofford here, for me, I think can pull out the win. Wichita State, Houston, 11.5-point home favorites, 134.5 the total. Houston, big response. Remember, they had that just stunning loss to Tulsa, where Tulsa hits free throws right at the end of the game with a second to go to beat this Houston team, hand them their first loss. And I said, going into that SMU game on Sunday, of course, we don't have a show on Sunday, so we didn't talk about that game. But I said, there's no way I'm going against Houston off a loss, especially in that price range where they were 2-3-point favorite, pretty much just had to win the game in order to cover the number. And it was the response I kind of expected from Kelvin Sampson's team, 74-60. A really good performance on the road, beating a really good SMU team. SMU is a good basketball team. And to go on the road and beat them by 14, that told you the focus was there. But now they're back home. Now they're laying a big number again. And they're facing a Wichita State team that, man, they've gotten their act together. Remember, we talked about that rough start, and boy, they're playing some really good basketball right now. Beat Tulsa on the road. That win's looking better and better with what we see from Tulsa. They beat South Florida in overtime on the road. How about going on the road against Ole Miss, and winning there 83-79 in an SEC out-of-conference game? This team is playing well. Tyson Etienne, Altarique Gilbert, they've been excellent, leading the way for the Shockers in recent games, giving them good play at both ends of the floor. I think they can give Houston a game here. Houston is going to be, as much as I love Houston, the way they play at both ends of the floor. Sasser, Grimes, Caleb Mills, DeJon Jarreau, great team. Love the way they play at both ends of the floor. But there's a sense to me that they're going to be a little bit overvalued. Look at the recent results. They barely covered against UCF. They lost outright as favorites against Tulsa. They did cover with ease against SMU, but that was a prime spot for them coming off their first loss of the season. Now they're laying a big number again, and I think it could be a few too many points. And I love the current form we're seeing out of Wichita right now. I think the double digits with the Shockers here is worth a bet. What's your thoughts, Connor?
I'm with you. I think this is a lot of points, and I'm huge. I like Houston a lot. I think the loss of Caleb Mills is going to be big for them. Him leaving that team, he was a starter last year, came off the bench. He was their sixth man, still scoring good. And I guess he just didn't like it. He's wanted to transfer out.
Personal reasons, but
yeah. He was, I think, a big piece. Houston's still going to be really good. I just like how Wichita's been playing, like you said lately. I think they're scrappy. I don't like the matchup. Maybe it's not as good. Wichita's not great on the glass. I think Houston's a lot better defensively. Yes. But I think at this many points, I'll take 11.5 with Wichita State. So I'm with you here.
Yeah, and you're right. The adjustment now without Caleb Mills, let's see if there is one that's going to need to occur for Houston moving forward. But yeah, 11.5. Yeah. I think the point's worth looking at there. St. John Xavier. We've got Xavier, the Musketeers, 6.5 point home favorites, 155. I want to say something, though. A pet peeve of mine for years is hearing people call this team Xavier. I hear people pronouncing it Xavier. That's always bothered me. Xavier. It's Xavier. Think of it as Z. It's not Xavier Musketeers. Yeah. I know it's got the X at the beginning, but it's just one of those little funky little nuances of the English language where it's actually pronounced Xavier. That's what we go with. That's what I go with anyway. 155 the total in this game. Look, this should be a point palooza. St. John's doesn't play great defense at all. Xavier to me in terms of pace has been kind of surprising this year. You look at their tempo numbers; they've gone up quite a bit this season. What are they in terms of tempo this year? They've gone at a little bit of a faster pace for sure than normal. We know St. John's with Mike Anderson, a team that suspect on the defensive end of the basketball court, and that's putting it mildly. I think this game can get up and over the total. I lean a little bit to Xavier, but I think they're the better team. But 6.5, it's probably right around that range where I wouldn't feel overly comfortable laying this amount of points with them. What's your thoughts, C-Mac?
Yeah, Xavier, I think it's a little high. St. John's has always been the last few years just kind of hit and miss. We talk about Rhode Island. They're kind of erratic. They come out and play really good games, every once in a while, and they just look really soft and bad in others. The only thing I have leaning in this game is the over 155. Both teams don't play much defense at all, and I think they both get in the 80s. So give me the over 155.
All right, we both like the over there. On we go. Boston College, Duke 11.5, 150. There's another one. I think there's points. I mean, I would look over the total. We're in those zones right now. 3-4 games in a row on this card where I like the overs, and this is another one here with BC, and BC just awful defensively. I think this is finally a spot where Duke can get their shooting going again. I certainly would not want Boston College as a road dog here. Struggling to step up in class. That does concern me a little bit. They did hang with NC State. So maybe they could here, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust them enough here, even getting 11.5. But I do think Duke can have success offensively. Boston College is certainly a better offensive team than they are a defensive team. And we've seen Duke, not exactly shutting teams down this year at the defensive end of the floor. So I think the game can just get up and over that 150 mark. What do you think here, BC Duke?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really have anything on the total. I didn't get there too. Duke hasn't played in forever. And before that, they had a good 10-point win against Notre Dame. But other than that, they weren't right. And I didn't get to the window here, but I lean Boston College. But the only thing is they have always gotten whipped by Duke, especially at Duke. There's no fans there now. Maybe this is a little different for BC. I lean the 11.5. These first games after these long layoffs, you see some teams struggle. So, and
Yep.
Duke hasn't played well anyways, and they still have a few players out. Look, Boston College was one of my favorites, but I lean with them 11.5 plus 11.5.
Yeah, like I said, they did cover their last time they were road dogs here against NC State on the road. So maybe that's going to bode well for them. Of course, it's Jalen Johnson, Patrick Tate that are out for this team right now due to injury. Both of these teams, should be able to find their footing offensively. Duke 41st in the country offensive efficiency. Boston College 89th, but their defense suffers. So I didn't go. Like I say, BC to me, considering Duke hasn't played in a while. You look at Duke; they've been off for weeks, and usually I find that the layoff teams that haven't played for a week, either bet against them or bet the over, because I find their defense is really ragged. Wow. They're sloppy with the ball. They turn it over. It results in fast break offense for the opposing team. So that's why I think fade the teams off the long layoff, and also higher scoring games with those teams in their first game after a layoff makes sense, because they're haphazard with the basketball. They struggle a bit more, and it results in those faster, quick strike baskets at the other end. Next up, Minnesota, Michigan here. Michigan, 7.5-point home favorites, 149.5 the total in this one. How about Michigan? What a job for Juwan Howard. Of course, we know a beloved member of the Fab Five at Michigan way back when, in the glory days of Michigan basketball under Steve Fisher, although they had a lot of glory days under John Beilein the last decade as well. But certainly he's there was always that concern, Conor. Where's the Michigan basketball program going to head after John Beilein left and did such a great job with it all those years, making Michigan basketball relevant, making them a player in the Big Ten? They haven't gone down a bit under Juwan Howard. In fact, they're still great. They're undefeated, 9-0, 4-0 in conference play. You look at the results. I mean, Nebraska, double-digit win. Maryland on the road, double-digit win. They beat the tar out of Northwestern, 85-66. It's working for this team. Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, Hunter Dickinson, Mike Smith, Eli Brooks. I mean, this team's got it. They're filling it up offensively. Their offensive execution is at a real high level right now. They're executing good offense. They're taking good shots. They're making their shots. That is a good sign for this team. Minnesota, it's been a nice start into the conference play for them. But here's the issue I have with Minnesota, C-Mac. 2 Big Ten road games. They got drilled in both of them, essentially. 92-65 loss to Illinois, 71-59 loss to Wisconsin at the Kohl Center in Madison just recently. When they've had to go on the road, and I think Michigan, you can put them with an Illinois and a Wisconsin. They're in that tier of teams here in the Big Ten, and Minnesota got blown out by doubles in those 2 Big Ten road games against quality competition. It makes me think they might struggle again here. The number's gotten away. It's 7.5 now, but I would only look to Michigan here, laying the points. Minnesota hasn't shown me enough on the Big Ten road to trust them, but I do like another. I mentioned there's a slew of games in a row here on this card. I like over the total. This is another one here. I've been riding this Michigan overs, the Maryland game, the Nebraska game, the Northwestern game on Sunday. I had the over there. We'll keep going with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We'll go over 150 with the Gophers and the Wolverines. C-Mac, any thoughts here?
Yeah, the only thing is Minnesota on the road is not very good. And every once in a while, they don't shoot it well on the road like Rutgers, and you'll get an under. So I'm staying away from the over here. It should, if Minnesota can just shoot it well. And last year, Michigan was very up and down. I thought they won games they should, but they lost a lot of them that they should have won. So I kind of laid off them early on. They played really well. I'd be on them here as well, just because Minnesota struggles on the road. But Minnesota will get better. It just, these Big Ten, even with no fans, these teams like Rutgers, Minnesota, they just can't go on the road and really get it done. So I lean Michigan here with you, minus 7.5.
I muted myself. There we go. One of our better games tonight, Big East action here. Seton Hall against Creighton. We've got Creighton 5.5-point home favorites here. Total 148. Right away when I see a Creighton home game, I'm not betting the under. I can tell you that right now. Creighton home court overs have been just outstanding. Last year, going back years, this season, they've been very good over team, especially at home. Not as much on the road, actually. A lot of Creighton games lately on the road have stayed under, but at home, they're a very good over team. I think that continues tonight. we get this game over the total with Creighton and Seton Hall tonight. A Seton Hall team that, defensively, that the one concern is they're playing good defense right now, really good. 67 allowed to Georgetown in a win, 68 allowed in a blowout home win over Xavier, home win against Butler, hold them to 60. This is a team playing damn good defense right now. So I like the points here with the Pirates as well. Oh, I know it's difficult to go against Creighton on this home court, but you look at them in Big East play, the only loss is a 3-point loss in overtime to Providence for this Seton Hall team. They've been in every game, every single game. So even though this is a good home court for Creighton, they played well. Let's also not forget they also lost earlier in Big East play at home to Marquette, 89-84. So it is proof Creighton can lose at home, and this is one of the best teams they've played in conference play so far. So I like the points with Seton Hall, and I like over 147, 148 as well. C-Mac, your thoughts here? Good one in the Big East.
Yeah, Creighton, the last few games have slowed it down, but I think at home they'll play better. That it should get over this 148. I got to take the points with Seton Hall. Creighton might win this game, but I think Seton Hall can keep it close. I like 5.5. I'd really like a 6, a lot more. But I think Seton Hall, they'll beat them on the glass. Like you said, their defense has played better. They got the guys, I think, they bang around Creighton a little bit. They can shoot it well. They can get up and down, very efficient on offense. But I think I still lean to the over, but I think Seton Hall, to keep close, got to bang them around a little bit. So, yeah, I do see a few 6s. So, yeah, I'm at Seton Hall. If you can get a 6 or 5.5, for sure.
They've just been awesome in this road underdog role. They really have under Kevin Willard. I mean, they've been absolutely outstanding, catching points on the road. Like they beat Xavier in this point spread role. They beat Marquette outright as road underdogs in this point spread role. They have been dynamite, not just good, dynamite road underdogs, this Seton Hall team. And when you look at recent head-to-head matchups with Creighton, last year, struggle for them a little bit. So if you're banking on what we saw last year, maybe they're in tough tonight. But Seton Hall, to me, they can hang in this game. I'll take them with the points here in this one. Next, and the over as well. Next up, we've got I think Oklahoma Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Oklahoma Baylor. Baylor 11-point home favorites, 150 the total. Not easy to go against Baylor, but I bit a little bit on Oklahoma here, plus the 11. I think Oklahoma is one of those teams that's playing better. I throw out the loss against Xavier. They just shot the ball terrible, and Xavier was hitting every 3 in that game. I think that's an outlier. I think Oklahoma is better than what they showed that game. And Baylor's overvalued. Here we go again with Baylor, just like last year in Big 12 play. An elite team, national title contender, but you're going to pay through the nose to lay points with this team in conference play. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. I'll say this right now. Baylor will be a losing point spread team. Baylor will be a losing ATS team at the end of Big 12 play. They're just going to be too many points every single game, and I think it could be that way here tonight. What's your thoughts, Conor? Oklahoma, Baylor.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma in this spot. I remember last year they almost beat them, Oklahoma. And Baylor, kind of the same team, basically. Went down to the wire. Oklahoma, a few bad losses, but they've looked good. Baylor, by the way, other than beating Illinois and really late by 13, the Gonzaga game got canceled. Cupcakes here. Central Arkansas, Alcorn beat Iowa State only by 11. I think it's just too many. Some people I know are going to lay it with Baylor, and Baylor could. But if you're going to give me 11 here, I'm going to take these 11 points with Oklahoma tonight.
By the way, the last 3 meetings between Baylor and Oklahoma, margins of 11 or less, all of them. So, again, there you go. I mean, it's not been going to blow out Oklahoma by margin type of recent series history.
I like Lon Kruger. I think he brings his guy, especially in games like this. He's a very good coach, and I like their players. I think they can score, so I'll take the 11 with them.
Yeah, I agree. That Brady Manick's a great player, too, on that Oklahoma, no question.
Oh, yeah.
I like lots to like, obviously, with Baylor, no question. They got the guard play. They got inside play. They play elite defense. I understand all that. But guess what? Lon Kruger knows Scott Drew. You could say that the other way around, too. These coaches know each other. That's why it's tougher when Baylor gets into Big 12 play. And because they've beaten up on their non-conference schedule, They're overvalued. Their power rating's just too high. And now they're in conference. Teams know them. Coaches know them, how to game plan for them. And the result is they stop covering. And I think you're going to see that again with Baylor. So, again, I don't think you're going to find point spread value with Baylor moving forward. To me, you may not find it tonight either. Next up, A&M South Carolina. South Carolina, 3.5-point home favorites, 136 the total in this game. I can't lay points with South Carolina. They haven't faced anybody of real quality. A&M is starting to turn a little bit of a corner here. Give me the Aggies here, not for a bet. I mean, the Aggies have their flaws too. They can go into offensive droughts, but South Carolina to me is not very deep, battling some injuries and COVID situations already. Very dubious favorite in my mind. So I'll lean to the A&M side. I'll have a bet on them for a small amount here, plus 3.5. Connor, how about you?
Yeah, I like a small on A&M as well. South Carolina's not very good, and A&M's had a bunch of players out lately. I think they'll be at full strength, as what I checked earlier tonight. Hopefully, Buzz Williams has them going here. I think they can cover this 3.5. I like it as well. Small lean. A lean with A&M. I might get to the window. I'm still waiting on that one a little bit, but I like A&M as well.
All right, Auburn, Ole Miss. Ole Miss 7-point home favorites, 139.5 the total. I would only look to the home favorite here. I mean, Auburn to me has just not been impressive. Their offense has just completely hit a wall. Their defense has just been very, very erratic. They've had a couple of games here and there where they've defended with vigor and intensity, but for the most part, that hasn't been the case for Bruce Pearl's squad. It's clearly been a grind for them. Now they're a desperate team. They're 0-2 in conference play, but you lose on the road to A&M by 2. You lose by 12 at home to Arkansas. Arkansas is good, but to lose by double digits on your home floor, very, very bad loss for them there. Like I said, the offense has worked in fits and starts. For Ole Miss, they're coming off back-to-back losses themselves against Alabama and Wichita State. But now they're back home after the loss to Wichita. They stay home, I should say, after the loss to Wichita State, face this Auburn team. I trust Kermit Davis's squad a little bit more in this. One of these teams has to bounce back. I think I trust Kermit Davis' squad more than I trust Auburn right now to be that bounce back team. So I'll look toward Ole Miss and also look a little over the total here as well. And the total has gone up as well in this game. What's your thoughts, Con?
Yeah, we'll see in this one. I was really intrigued by this game. I think it's too many points. I'm going to take Auburn here, get 7.5. And I haven't loved what they've done. Like you said, they lost by 2 to A&M. Up and down, they beat Memphis, but Memphis isn't much. They lost to Central Florida by 8. But I haven't been really excited to Ole Miss to be 7.5 or 8-point favorites in this spot. I'm going to grab the points with Auburn. I think they can cover this ball game. We'll see though. These SEC sometimes these road teams can get blown out, and Auburn's very young. That's the only thing. But hopefully they get better. I think they'll get better as SEC conference play goes. So give me the 7.5 with them here.
All right, next up, Wake Forest, Virginia. Back to the ACC. We've got Virginia 14-point home favorites, 123.5 the total. Feel bad for our pal Steve Forbes. I love that coach. I think he's a great coach, but they're going to be up against it here in ACC play. This is one of those teams. I've got my eye on them, Connor, where I think they're going to struggle early in conference play. We already saw signs of that. The Georgia Tech loss, 70-54 in their last game on the road. Now they got to play Virginia. I mean, they got held to 54 points by Georgia Tech. Imagine now having to play this suffocating Virginia defense. I mean, it's going to be tough to score tonight for Wake Forest. But I'm waiting for them to, take their lumps probably tonight, maybe the next couple games, and then maybe midway through the conference schedule, maybe late January, early February. You watch this Wake team. They're going to start covering some numbers, and they're going to start making progress because that's what the Steve Forbes teams do. Dating back to when he was at ETSU all those years. They get better as the season goes on. I don't like them here tonight, but I'm just saying, a few weeks down the road, I've got my eye on Wake Forest being a value-laden moneymaker, ATS, here in ACC play. What's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, I think down the line, they were sat out for so long, Wake Forest, just getting the game in. I like Virginia here. I don't like laying these huge points with Virginia. It's Virginia or pass in this game. I think they can cover the 14, but I don't want to bet it. Yeah, so Virginia or pass.
All right. Yeah, just letting everybody know, because a couple people asking when's this show. That's the college basketball is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and we do the Saturday show as well, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. It was college football. Now it's college basketball, Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Utah State, New Mexico. Utah State 12-point road favorites, 137 the total in this one. I think the total is a little light. We know New Mexico likes to get up and down the floor. Utah State's offense has actually been pretty solid. So I think we can get this game up and over the total. A lot of points to be like. New Mexico's really had issues, and another team with free throw problems, New Mexico. Holy shit, make a free throw, just like Rutgers last night. Holy mackerel. It drives me nuts seeing teams when they go 3 for 14 or some shit like that from the free throw line.
Yeah,
it really does.
They're free. They're free. Come on.
They're 3 points. They should be.
Just
take your time, look at the basket, set your feet, and fire. And you got it. But just some kids can't make free throws, and that's an issue for New Mexico. Nevertheless, I think it's a few too many to lay with Utah State here. I would lean New Mexico, but I will be on the over for sure at this 137 range. What's your thoughts, C-Mac?
Yeah, I think this one gets over the total as well. I think it's a little bit low. I like Utah State. I think they're playing more like the team last year. Earlier on in the year, they weren't. They've looked good. 12.5 is a lot, because New Mexico isn't very good at all. I mean, Boise's blown them out. Even Nevada beat them pretty well by 10 and by 14. I see it similar, so that's why 12.5. I just don't trust it. And Utah State's been good on the road, but I'd lean Utah State laying the points, but I just don't love it enough to get to the window.
Air Force, Boise State. Boise 19-point home favorites, 132.5 the total. Man, Leon Rice has a team. This Boise team's really, really good. The problem is there's now a big-time tax to support them. And Air Force is one of those teams where they could get blown out and lose by 30, and then they'll have that game where they're right there down to the wire. That's a wildly volatile team, the Air Force squad. That combined with the fact I have no interest going against Boise right now, so it's a pass for me on this game. Connor, how about you, Air Force, Boise State?
I've been, since the beginning, I said this Boise State team is going to be really good. But the value's starting to creep now out here. Air Force is really bad. And they always were pretty good at home. They've been bad at home. They got a win at UNR. But other than that, they've got blown out. Utah State blew them out twice. Drake blew them out. I don't love it. A small play. I think Boise gets them by 20, but 19's starting to push it. 19's a lot. But Air Force, I think, is that bad. So
we Boise or pass.
Boise a little bit. Boise or pass. Yep.
Just a lot of maybe first. I know someone in the
first
chat
half looks
first half. That might be the way to go. Let's go quickly to the added board, and then we'll do best bets, and then we'll get on out of here because I got the NBA show coming up. Ski Profit tonight, 3 p.m. Eastern. So we'll get to that. Added board. I'm on 3 overs. New Orleans, Central Arkansas, over 152. Abilene Christian, Houston Baptist, over 151. Come on, Houston Baptist. I'm betting that game over the total. They're an over machine, that group. And Lamar Nichols State, we also went over the total there, 145. So 3 overs for me on the added board. Did you get to the window with anything on the added board, C-Mac?
The only one I liked a little bit is Houston Baptist because it's in the 150s, low 150s. That's the only over I liked here. And no sides. I mean, Central Arkansas is favored by 8. That's how bad these – they're favored by 8 against New Orleans. So it's a rough one on the extra board today. But that was my lone one I kind of zeroed in was the Houston Baptist. They don't stop anybody at all. I think that could get over the 151.
It's lower because Abilene Christian plays a little slower, and they're very good defensively.
They do.
But Abilene's offense goes in waves, but they're going to get their offense tonight against Houston Baptist. They don't play a little defense. They just fly up and down the court, take the first shot they can get. So I think it could take advantage of the low 150s instead of the 160s with a total involving Houston Baptist. So I do like that one. All right, we'll get to best bets in a second. Connor, do we have a word from our sponsors?
Oh, yeah. Let me get our guys here. You need a book. Go to mybookie.ag, hit promo code PubSports. If you use debit or credit, you get 50% off. If you use Bitcoin, you get 100% off. So put $1,000, they give you $1,000. If you use the debit or credit, you put in $1,000, they give you $500. Just hit promo code mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. Everyone needs another book. You can't just have one book. You got to have multiple ones to get the best line, especially in college basketball and the NBA. Half points count, so go check it out. And go to bulksupplements.com. Hit promo code PubSports. You get 10% off your order. Get all the vitamins you need here for the winter. All this stuff to keep COVID away, or get creatine, whatever you want, all that stuff. Get jacked up when you work out. And lastly, I'll give it plug because we're at the end of football season, is Wolf Spreads. Just download the app. Just like I said, Wolf Spreads. It's super fun. You get 2K each week. Bet who you want in this wild card. Take the dogs, one game, take a few, take whoever you want. And at the end of the week, the winner gets a bunch of Pub Sports radio merch. We got hats, shirts, sweatshirts. So if you win at the end, you get a little prize there at the end. So it's super fun. So PSR Battle Royale. So hit that in when you download on your iPhone, Wolf Spreads. So get it, boys, and have fun.
All right. It was 2-0 for us with our best bets on the college basketball closing time show yesterday. Let's do an encore, shall we? Connor, where are we going for best bet?
You go ahead first. I'll give you it first.
I've talked myself into it even more since we talked a lot about that particular game. I'm going Oklahoma for best bet here. Yeah, I'm going.
That was mine, but you got it. Yeah. No, I love it. That's good. We both like it.
We both like it.
I got another one.
Because you know what? It's also at a number. A lot of my other games I consider for best bet, you're not getting the number I got. And I don't like recommending best bets if you can't get something very close, if not identical to what I got. And Oklahoma, you can still get 11, and I like it a lot. So Oklahoma plus 11 against Baylor, just a few too many points. I think we have a competitive game there. That's my best bet. Connor, what do you got?
One sec. Let me make sure you can still get it. Yeah, there's still sixes out there. If you can get a 6, I like Creighton a lot, but I think 6 is a lot. Even at 5.5, but really a 6. Take Seton Hall plus the 6. I think they can keep it close. I think they can keep that one just close enough. I think they're playing their best basketball right now. So I like that one a lot too. And we like Michigan a little bit. So, look at that one. But yeah, give me Seton Hall plus 6.
2-0, not only 2-0 ATS as Big East Road Dogs this season, Seton Hall, 2-0 outright, 2-0 straight up outright wins as road underdogs this season against Marquette and Xavier for this Seton Hall team. So I agree with you there, looking at Seton Hall as your best bet. So there you go. Oklahoma plus 11 for me against Baylor, Seton Hall plus 5.5, 6 against Creighton for Connor Mack's best bet for this college basketball card. That'll wrap up the Wednesday edition of the Pub Sports Radio College Basketball Closing Time Show. Stay tuned, just mere minutes. I'll be zooming over to our other StreamYard chat video broadcast room here. Ski Prophet and I will break down the Wednesday NBA card, NBA Closing Time Show coming right up. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the college basketball games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for our final weekday edition of the College Basketball Closing Time Show.